I'm your host, Jia Wingnut. Welcome back to my channel. We are continuing with 1952 and a planned deception. In this particular episode, we're going to be looking at the Anthroposophical Society that Rudolf Steiner founded. And he does have connections with Blavatsky, but we will get to that shortly. The Anthropological Society, or Anthroposophical Society, sorry, founded by Rudolf Steiner. This is going to be a short video. I am going to put another video on the end just for an insider insight view, and that's strictly it. Anyway, the Anthroposophical Society was founded by Rudolf Steiner in 1912 in Cologne, Germany. It was a global organization dedicated to the study and application of anthroposophy, a spiritual philosophy that aims to develop a deeper understanding of the human being and the world. The society is headquartered in Domach, Switzerland. I hope I got that right. And has branches around the world. Founding and the early years. The Anthroposophical Society was founded on December 28th, 2012. 1912. The Anthroposophical Society was founded on December 28th, 1912, with about 3,000 members. Rudolf Steiner, an Austrian philosopher, occultist, and social reformer, acted as the founder and first leader of the society. The society's early years were marked by a focus on spiritual development, education, and social reform. Key principles. The Anthroposophical Society is based on several key principles, including 1. The development of a deeper understanding of the human being and the world through spiritual research and education. The application of anthroposophy in various fields, such as education, agriculture, medicine, and architecture. Next, the promotion of social reform and social justice. Oh boy, howdy, do we see a lot of that these days. And lastly, on this list of key principles, the fostering of sense of community and cooperation among members. Well, I think any positive group should have that particular aspect to them. Activities and initiatives. The Anthroposophical Society is involved in a wide range of activities and initiatives, including education. The society operates schools and educational programs around the world, including the famous Waldorf schools. Agriculture. Society promotes biodynamic agriculture, a method of farming that emphasizes the spiritual and holistic aspects of agriculture. Medicine. The society has developed a system of anthroposophical medicine which emphasizes the use of natural remedies and a holistic approach to health. Hey, we see a whole lot of that in society. In fact, I could think of a few multi-level marketing companies that sell healthcare products and advertise as holistic. That would play directly back into the agricultural thing and organic foods, which are, in my opinion, a better alternative to highly processed foods. But somewhere, I think there's a happy medium somewhere in the middle. So anyway, continuing with the list. Architecture. The society has designed and built several buildings and communities that affect its spiritual and artistic principle. Built several buildings and communities. There's a yoga cult that I'm aware of that they teach transcendental meditation. They have a facility here in my state, Missouri. I don't remember exactly where it is. I'll have to go look them up. Anyway, so speaking of building communities for the purpose of your activities. Oh yeah, also John Alexander Dowie. He's responsible for founding and building Zion, Illinois, right outside of Chicago, as a theocratic community. If you lived in that town, you belonged to his church. And yes, he was a Christian mystic. Reform, last of all on this list, social reform. The society has been involved in various social reform movements, including the promotion of social justice and the protection of the environment. Interesting. Boy, how did they just put that right out there, didn't they? All right, notable members of the Anthroposophical Society has attracted notable members over the years, including Rudolf Steiner, he was, of course, the founder, Albert Stephan, a Swiss writer and artist, Marie Steiner von Sivers, a prominent anthroposophist, and probably Rudolph's wife, and Ida Wegman, a Dutch physician who was a prominent member. Anyway, and today the Anthroposophical Society continues to be active around the world with branches and members in many countries. The Society remains committed to the core principles of spiritual development and education and social reform, and continues to promote holistic approach to life. Well, isn't that cute? I'm seeing a lot of that these days. In fact, as I mentioned in a previous episode, there's a Mormon out there who strongly encourages his employees to practice Scientology because, yeah, he sells Scientologists multivitamins, including high-dose niacin. But I can make a whole nother video about that another time. So what else have I got lined up to introduce you to real quick? Personally, I am not recommending these teachings. But if you want to know more about them for insights, there's this page here. You can see it on the screen. Pause it if you need to copy it completely. And then there's also this other playlist of informative stuff. Again, I would not recommend really digging into it unless you're just wanting to do doctrinal parallels and research. Something like the things I do in comparative cult studies. Now, I'm also not going to recommend this next video coming from Guild of Secrets, the greatest mystic of the 20th century, Rudolf Steiner. But I am going to include the video here at the end, and that should help pretty much sum things up. Again, I am not recommending it, although if you do want more information on your own, please, by all means, do your own research. Just be careful about what you buy into and what resources you're using when you're doing your own research.
His school was engaged in practical research of developing hypersensitivity and clairvoyance. Here is a prototype of X-Men in real life. Steiner was the founder of the pedagogical method and the first Waldorf school. It's unbelievable how a person did so much in one human life. Rudolf Steiner, Austrian doctor of philosophy, teacher, social reformer, esoterist, occultist, this list goes on for a long time. Rudolf began as a researcher of Goethe. In 1902, Steiner became head of the German branch of the Theosophical Society of Helena Blavatsky. And in this period he wrote his very important books, An Introduction to the Supersensible Knowledge of the World and the Destination of Man, How to Attain the Higher Worlds, From Akasha Chronicles, and others. Steiner attempted to reconcile the scientific method with a supernatural view of the world, and his view of theosophical questions was more humanistic. 10 years later, he left the Theosophists and created his own doctrine, calling it Anthroposophy. Steiner himself, by Anthroposophy, meant the scientific exploration of the spiritual world, which, before attempting to penetrate the superessential world, first develops some powers inactive in the ordinary consciousness and not known in an ordinary science. That's what makes such penetration possible. Goethe's teachings have always been the foundation upon which he has built and developed his concepts. Steiner built Goethenaum in Switzerland and made it the center of the anthroposophical movement. Steiner was the founder of the pedagogical method and the first Waldorf school. These schools operate on the principle of non-pushing of the child's development, but providing all opportunities for his or her development at his or her own pace. The priority is not to master the amount of knowledge, but to identify the strengths of the child and implement his own ideas and projects. It is important that the child doesn't lose interest in learning, understand what he's interested in and what he would like to do in his life. Few people know, but the world-famous Stanislavski system is nothing but the Anthroposophical Theater of Steiner. Stanislavski's first book was named Steiner's Theater Art. But some clever people in USSR have suggested that Russians need their revolutionary theater teaching. Thus, after a small rebranding, the Steiner system became the Stanislavski system. Even Mikhail Chekhov, a student of Stanislavski, didn't hide that he was inspired by anthroposophy and ideas of Steiner when created his methods. Rudolf also laid the foundation for biodynamic agriculture, initiated the development of eurythmia, new directions in dramatic art, painting, architecture, was the author of social reforms, wrote more than 350 books. It's unbelievable how a person did so much in one human life. In 1923, Steiner founded the School of Spiritual Science, which engaged in practical research and practices aimed at exploring the spiritual component of man, including the development of hypersensitivity and clairvoyance. Here is a prototype of X-Man in real life. During the fascist regime, Anthroposophical Society was banned in Germany, because even before the war, Hitler and local right-wing radicals were fierce opponents of both Steiner and his ideas. At the end of his life, Steiner spent a lot of time studying multiple human incarnations and issues of karma. Steiner was convinced that through freely chosen methods of training and exercises in meditation, one can develop in oneself the ability to perceive the spiritual world, including the higher nature of oneself and others. Such discipline and training should help the individual to become more moral, creative and free individual, capable of actions motivated solely by love. The purpose of this video is to bring you closer to these personalities, and if you want to better understand these people, I recommend you to read their books, which are more than enough. I would also like to warn you against falling in love to the distorted artistic images created by various mystifiers and conspiracy theorists around the stories of these personalities. First of all, these mystics were people who thought differently, were inspired by the search, saw and tried a lot and moved progress. My initial list consisted of 20 people, but I decided not to overload you and myself with so much information and highlighted the most interesting people for me at this stage. In the future, I will definitely do the second part about other people, so leave in the comments the name of those personalities, about the ideas and lives you think more people should know. Thank you all for watching, subscribe and see you in the next video.
So as I'm sure you noticed, I did some editing there to hopefully not get caught up in any copyrights. But I hope you all learned something in this video. I picked up a couple of new details along the way myself. If you haven't, please go ahead and subscribe to the video and give it a like if you liked it. Don't feel don't be afraid to share the video if there's anybody out there that you think might benefit from it. We only have one more thing on this list, and then I will be able to jump off into the historical aspects, political, scientific, social, and such, that was happening during 1952. So I hope you'll catch up with me on my next video. Until then, please take care of yourself. Mental health matters, and drink plenty of water.
Everybody wants to